And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning. We are live back from the 4th of July, and just thinking of the lady that was going up and down on the Statue of Liberty. I'm sure her parents must be very proud of her. Joining us now from the RNC, Mark Lauder joining us. Mark, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Well, here we have it, the 4th of July in the President's America. All seems well when we think of where we're going, except our friends in the media continue to try and churn things up, particularly when it comes to the Supreme Court. From your look inside, what will this process be like? Will it be any different from the President's decision-making process with Justice Gorsuch?
No, in fact, remember, the president gave a list of about 25 names during the campaign 2 years ago about the types of people and the specific names of justices and judges that he would pull from to fill a Supreme Court vacancy, then obviously with the late Antonin Scalia, and now with the upcoming retirement of Justice Kennedy. The president's looking for a person who believes the Constitution as it is written, not of their own personal opinion or how liberals would like to twist it to mean. And so you're going to see this process play out quickly. He's met with reportedly 7 or so nominees, potential nominees, and he has promised he will make the decision for us on Monday.
Well, that's pretty quick for the president to do that. We're used to these long, drawn-out processes. But, Mark, as you know, as your time with the administration, the president is not an ordinary politician or public servant.
Absolutely not. In fact, the president is one who's constantly moving and usually asking why things weren't done yesterday. And generally speaking, the process historically has taken about 2 to 3 weeks to identify a nominee. Since the president already had that list of people that had already gone through kind of an initial vetting, it really just comes down to scheduling some meetings, figuring out which one he believes is going to represent the interests of our country and the Constitution for many decades to come. And so they're already ahead of the curve on that respect. And I know a lot of people are anxiously and can't wait to get started with this confirmation process once the president makes the pick on Monday.
Mark, when we take a look at the president, and it's been a welcomed reaction to 8 years of not much to cheer for conservatives, for Republicans under President Obama, to get 2 court justices, possibly more. This is something that we dreamed about and really feared that if Hillary Clinton had been elected.
You're absolutely right. And it was one of the top reasons why so many people went to the polls and cast their vote for President Trump back in 2016, is that they were tired of seeing the courts used to advance policies or to make policies that they could not get through the United States Congress or through the executive branch. And that's something that the president doesn't believe in. He believes in the rule of law and the Constitution as it's written. So this really is going to be one of the longest lasting legacies of our president, not just at the Supreme Court level, but when you look at the fact that already within 18 months, about 1/8 of the appeals court judges have already been appointed and confirmed by President Trump in the Senate. There have been hundreds of court judges at the district level that have been appointed. This is a president who is fundamentally remaking the judiciary and taking it back to the times when it was not about activism. It was not about legislating from the bench. It was about respecting the rule of law and letting Congress and the executive branch do their duty in making and enforcing the laws. And it's something that even after President Trump leaves office, it's going to continue because he's nominating young people who can serve us for 20, 30, sometimes cases 40 years on the federal bench.
And these are legitimate conservatives, as opposed to some critics have said in the past, where you never know what you're getting when sometimes a Republican does nominate some of these judges. We've seen some interesting decisions, even Justice Kennedy's decisions, the ultimate swing vote in the past.
Absolutely, and you never truly know how they will vote or how they will rule once they get on the federal bench. It is a lifetime appointment. But when you look at their writings, when you look at their basic underpinnings, their core beliefs, those are the things that the president is looking for. He's not going in and asking about specific cases or specific rulings where they may agree or disagree. He wants to see that they've got the temperament, that they've got the experience, and that they have the right philosophy to sit on that bench for, in many cases, decades, and rule on cases that have a real fundamental impact on America, whether it's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to bear arms. These are the kinds of general principles that the president wants to know that these individuals, they support those liberties that are granted to us not by the government, but by our inherent rights and are espoused in the Constitution.
Mark Lauder joining us, Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. I guess the biggest fear would be another David Souter, which was nominated. He was nominated by the first President Bush. And then you have some people that were unhappy with the Chief Justice, specifically when it came down to a few controversial issues, one being Obamacare.
Well, and that's a very interesting point, and that's one of the things that we have to make sure that we look at. Obviously, Chief Justice Roberts is a very strong defender of the Constitution, and when you look at that ruling that he made, he very much tailored not the overall Obamacare issue. He really tailored his ruling to the fact that this was a tax issue, and that unfortunately, because of the way it was written, that the tax issue was constitutional, even though the wisdom of the entire program was questionable and remains to be so. But that's actually the kind of person we want, that even though at his core he might disagree with the policy, but in the rule of the law, if they acted that way. So I think we're heading in the right direction. We're going to have a conservative, right-center Supreme Court moving forward. And as you said, Lord knows what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had these two nominations and maybe even more in the years to come. The good thing is that, as we just saw last week or 2 weeks ago with those rulings, this Supreme Court now, and it will be in the future, will respect that it's wrong for the government to tell people that they have to join a group they don't agree with,
right,
or that they have to say things in California that people of faith fundamentally disagree with. The government shouldn't be able to force us to say things, do things, join groups, or pay dues to people that we don't agree with. That's an American right. And those are the kinds of rulings that we hope to see in the future as we undo this administrative state that has been created and put the power and the freedom back into the hands of the people, which is where the founders intended it to be.
Mark, what do you make of the midterms? I know the president will be in Montana this week. Very interesting race between Senator Tester and the challenger there. How do you see Montana playing out? That's about the only race near us that seems of interest.
Well, it's critically important, and I was talking to a radio host over there earlier this week, and when you look at it, let's remember that these senators are the ones who confirm these judges, and in the case of Montana, you have one senator who's voting lockstep with the Constitution, with the president, and confirming judges, and they have another senator who is standing in opposition, who is more aligned with Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi than the voters that he was sent to Washington to represent. And so it's something that we have to make sure that every voter, even in Idaho, in Montana, and all of those other places, they get out and make sure their voice is heard so we continue to have strong conservative leadership in Washington, D.C. And when it comes to the Supreme Court, there are a number of senators, including Senator Tester in Montana, who are going to be in a very difficult position because if they vote for the president's nominee for the Supreme Court, they have been warned by top Democrat leadership that they will lose their volunteers, they will lose their fundraising base as they head into the November election. But if they vote against the president's choice, they're going to alienate the very voters they need to win. So it shows that they are out of touch with their home districts. And it'll be a question to see, are you going to side with your voters who you supposedly represent, or are you going to side with the liberal, radical, now socialists that have taken over the Democratic Party and are demanding that you go down a resistance movement, which is against the wishes of your voters?
Mark, how do you see the midterms playing out from a macro point of view? Obviously, it's so important to maintain the Senate and the House when you have the lunatic fringe of the Democratic Party saying they're going to draw up articles of impeachment and just waste everyone's time with a grudge match because they were sore losers that they lost the 2016 election.
Well, despite the fact that historically speaking, the party that is in power typically loses seats in their first midterm, I'm actually very encouraged. I think we will grow our majority in the United States Senate. It's currently 51. I think we will add quite a few seats to that majority in November. In the House, it's a much more difficult task, but I do think we're going to hold on to the majority. I think you will continue to see the drive for positive progress that we've got going on. I mean, let's remember that the only message that the Democrats are offering right now is abolishing our Customs and Border Patrol and reversing the tax cuts that put more money in people's hands and is creating jobs, and resisting this president at all costs. Meanwhile, we've got a record of accomplishment, whether it's low unemployment and more jobs being available now for the first time than there are people looking for jobs. And even more jobs are on the way. And so the American people are going to be asked to decide, do you want to continue that growth? Do you want to continue that march toward freedom, or do you want to go backwards to the way things used to be, where the Obama administration was regulating puddles as waters of the United States? And that's where I think we're very strong. We've got the results. All they've got is resistance, and so I'm very encouraged as we head into November.
Yeah, sometimes we seem to take our good times for granted, but they are really great times. Mark Lauder, we always appreciate you. Hope you're having a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Always good to be with you.
Our great friend Mark Lauder joining us. Let's go to Bob, who's been very patient. Bob in Meridian. Bob, good morning. Happy July 5th.
Morning, Kevin.
How are you?
Yeah, Kevin?
Bob.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Kevin, can you hear me?
X-Ray, this is Bad Karma. Search team in.
New phone.
No worries. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I just wanted to call up and just say that I hope that we don't have the same injustice that happened in Texas, where this young kid who killed 16 people, because he pled guilty, he's going to get life in prison. This guy kills a little 3-year-old girl on her birthday, and probably prison for him for the rest of his life would be like a vacation. And for the other gentleman who called up this morning, an alarmist, I just thank you for telling me about the skin cancer, because I went to the doctor and had 2 places that were precancerous. And I think you're a realist. You know what's going on, and people need to be aware. I really appreciate you on the radio, Kevin. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. And melanoma is no joke. That's from our association with our great friend, Dr. Stewart. And I'd urge you to go see the Dermatology Clinic of Idaho or your own dermatologist. I'm overdue. I need to go see Dr. Stewart. Skin cancer, melanoma is nothing to mess around with. Idaho, the tops in the nation when it comes to deaths from skin cancer. It can be avoided. And if you're uncomfortable with those bumps, take a look at them, please, no matter what your age. Who Bob was referring to was Timmy Kennedy.
I don't understand none of this, sir. What about the right to gather evidence?
Who spent his 4th of July in the Ada County jail as he awaits his trial. And that, again, this is something that is a challenge to talk about. But the severity of the crime, the depravity of the soul that this person exhibited. I wrote about this at KIDOTalkRadio.com. He is the face of evil. But we have complete faith and confidence in our friends at the Ada County Courthouse, at the prosecutor's office. You don't need to worry about them making the right moves, because they're the best. They are. We've worked with them on victims' rights. We've worked with them on domestic violence. And truly, this man will pay for his crimes. Although, as Bob pointed out, you can already see the beginning of an insanity defense.
I don't understand none of this, sir.
Right. You don't understand. Well, you will.
What about the right to gather evidence?
Right. That's right up there with the First Amendment. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We are here, and we're not going to have any excuses saying that no one's working. We're not going to have any excuses saying, hey, everybody, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to sit here and talk about food. We are going to take your calls about the issues that matter to you. If not, it will be, and I know Ray Amaya is really looking forward to this, a 3-hour monologue with yours truly, as if we haven't had enough of that. All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Could there be a Democratic blue wave in Idaho, or is it really over when we're talking about the November elections? We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, we have some sound here from Paulette Jordan, who was speaking recently at the Democratic Convention, courtesy of our friends at the Idaho Statesman. Let's take a listen. Doesn't appear to be working here this morning. I hate it when that happens. We'll try and get back to Paulette Jordan here on KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. No Paulette Jordan yet. Sound is working on this side. Let's go to Mike. Mike, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Mike.
Oh, hi, Kevin. Good morning. I like listening to you, when I can. Anyways, sure. You mentioned something, and I know it was pre-recorded, maybe from another show between 5 and 6, about Reagan letting the crazies out of the health care in the 1980s.
Sure.
Now, that's not correct.
We got rid of all the mental health facilities, remember? They defunded them.
Well, you got a point there, but it just like he gets blamed for the Banking Act of 1980. Now, think about it. It was Carter who was president in 1980. Reagan got the nomination in November 80, and his administration didn't start till 81. Carter let the crazies out for a very good reason, to just bring disturbance and everything else. Excuse me. But it was Carter, 1980 Banking Act, and 1980 with the crazy healthware people. I'm serious. Look it up. Do your homework. But also, I want to just quickly say, God never took away the capital punishment program. He started with Noah and telling him, and even the Apostle Paul said, the soldiers and the Roman government and army don't wield the sword in vain. And the capital punishment was never abolished. Thou shalt not kill is cold-blooded murder. But capital punishment is a total different thing. The baby stabber needs to die. Thank you.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO, Kevin Miller in the morning. And talking a little bit about the blue wave, in addition to that, the continued local reaction of the stabbing death of the 3-year-old little girl, Timmy Kennedy, who in fact now is in jail, had his first hearing, saying that he doesn't know what it's about, and there is some type of right to collection of evidence.
What about the right to gather evidence?
Right. So, could we assume that we will be seeing an insanity defense from Timmy? Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and apparently the sound is not working from the Statesman's site. And so, unfortunately, we can't hear Paulette Jordan, which may or may not be a good thing. But and here's something. It's gotta be like what's the worst football team around, or your worst sports team around? Being a Democrat in Idaho, it's got to be the equivalent of being like a fan of the Sacramento Kings, I think. And I'll explain that in a minute. It's time for Traffic and Weather Together, currently 6:28. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Coming up, we'll hear from Cindy and Max and you and everybody else. It's just one of those days where we have a lot of time and a lot of time to talk. So if you're looking to start a conversation, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And going back to this woman jumping up and down on the Statue of Liberty, as I said before, I bet her parents are proud. Plus, one of the most conservative congressmen, the most conservative congressman, in my opinion, is now under siege, accused of sexual abuse. He'll respond next with me, Kevin Miller, on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. We like to call it KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug. And blessed to be part of your day. Who says it's slow on 107.5 FM or 580 AM? Let's go to Cindy in Caldwell. Hello, Cindy.
Well, good morning, Kevin. I'll tell you, there's an expression for Christian Sundays coming. And the only thing I could think of yesterday, Monday's coming, Cindy. Kevin, I don't take this lightly because there's so few places to be able to express our opinions about this great nation. But your talk radio show, I feel like maybe there's someone out there in radio land who is listening and at least being willing to discuss issues. So I am ever grateful, for you, because yesterday I was having my own arise and resist moment at about 7:30 in the morning, because I'll tell you what, Kevin, on our Independence Day, where you had 56 people signing that beautiful document, which I don't even think people realize what they were, as someone said yesterday in something at our parade. Well, that would be called just griping. Well, I'm glad that our members, those people that birthed this great nation for independence from a tyranny, that they spoke up. 26 of them, and 26 of them go to the Library of Congress, had seminary degrees. So the values in this nation are driven. There, you could go to Washington and see beautiful passages from Leviticus and all over about righteousness exalting this nation, sin is a reproach. And I am sick of it. I'm just going to call them out, because I will be over there myself handing them the flag from Belgium or France. But, we talk about the Statue of Liberty, which living in Connecticut, I have literally gone up from the bottom up, actually, when you can even go.
By the way, that's good to know that you grew up in Connecticut. You've never told us that before.
I'm telling you now, but I'm telling you how that in that liberal left state, that at least out here, we can have a say-so, because you know what? The Press Tribune in that picture yesterday, and I've already called them, I've handed out.
Now, wait a minute. What's the picture?
I'm going to tell you the picture of the Statue of Liberty with her fist pointed up in the air, with disrespecting our flag as some nationalistic, right-winger. It had a despicable picture. They are always doing everything.
But you keep giving them so much attention, the Press Tribune.
Well, you know what? It makes me angry. How are you going to push back about anything they do? Rainbow flags, transgender on Father's Day. I'm so tired of it, Kevin. What is it that you can do to have some fair press over there? Or somebody, please, out in Radio Land, could you start a paper that you could pick up in the morning? And yes, I peruse it to know what to do. But in handing those things out, just perusing it yesterday and then walking up and through our wall of remembrance in Caldwell for all these volunteers. Does anybody know what Independence Day really is about anymore? I went to the candy parade.
I think you missed us.
I went to the candy parade. I got a lot of candy thrown at me.
Well, that, and it was great to see so many parades yesterday. My family went to the Star Parade, and then halfway through it, they called me to pick them up. And so I got to watch the end of the Star Parade. But you got, great parades in Middleton and all over. And I know
great.
And I know the folks in Boise. And big ups to them, the We the People Committee, because they get no support from the city. They get run around by Mayor Beater and his crew. So big ups to everybody that put the parade together, but especially those folks in Boise. It was nice to see the entire Treasure Valley getting some attention.
Well, you should give attention to those young Marines, because since we didn't have any other of the armed services, but those young people, and they were out there at 7:30 in the morning. They were the ones that were passing the flags up and down the roads. They get very little credit. There's very few
they're
of
Marines.
them.
That's what they do.
No, I'm saying
they're hard charging.
Those young Marines.
It's good training for them.
Well, my golly, yes, you think, it does say train a child up in the way they will go and they will follow. So
right.
Their parents were out there training them up right.
Great job.
But, yeah, Kevin, you can praise God for that.
I'm just trying to get a word in edgewise because, Cindy, people say, well, you just let Cindy talk, and it's almost like you're reading the paper while she's here. Now, I would never read the paper while we have you on the air.
Well, You mean you're not? Well, that
I just have
actually
to
makes my
kind of-
day. You're not going to read the Statesman or the Idaho Press Tribune. That's good, Kevin. So that's good that you can carry on and go to the next person. That makes me happy.
Well, you see, you started a little agitated. Now you're happy.
Actually I am.
Happy
I'm
day.
glad that's one person that's not going to buy that paper. So good. Thank you.
Cindy, have a great one.
You too now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Max in Garden City, who's been very patient on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Kevin. Before I get into my topic, I want to apologize for the other day. I think I was a little harsh on you.
I thought it was
the bushes sort of thing.
Between you and me,
But,
and apology accepted, but I love your passion. And like I said, you say whatever you want, sir. And I agree with you. Sometimes I'm squishy. That's where you come in.
And I'm about to put both feet into the pot. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
We have this dirtbag from California, another Californian, who rolled in here to see how many people he could murder in the Treasure Valley. He's in jail. Now, here's where I differ from Mike, who called earlier. No death penalty. Now, the fact is, anybody who looks at it logically in light of the New Testament understands the death penalty is nothing more than state-sanctioned murder. It's ritual murder. It's ceremonial murder. Because he is a dirtbag and murders a little girl doesn't give us the right to murder him unless we had done it in defense of that girl. There are so many exciting ways you can imprison this dirtbag. So many. How about instead of life or life at hard labor, how about life at hazardous duty? We need crash test dummies. We need to test vaccines on humans at some point. There are so many ways you can avoid directly, ceremonially, ritually murdering him, but just make his life a living hell. Make him want a death penalty that he's never going to receive. The Catholic Church is rightly against the death penalty. You're a Catholic, I understand that. You should as well.
So what about life in prison?
Okay, but you've got to change the conditions of life. You can't allow him to spend the rest of his life with the TV. Okay, grant you're always sleeping with one eye open in prison. It's a high-stress lifestyle. But you don't need to give him a bed and a TV and 3 squares a day. And in return, maybe he's folding shirts in the laundry. Let's make his life a lot tougher. Let's change the definition of life to mean till the cessation of all bodily function. And we can speed him along the way by making his life very difficult. Guantanamo, that'd work.
North Korea.
How about some of these Eastern European gulags where the CIA sends their special people?
I'm never getting on the wrong side of you, Max.
Listen, I want to tell you, I do enjoy your show. Sometimes I listen and I just bite a book or something because I don't want to say what I want to say.
Sure.
But the fact is, you are a necessary outlet, and you are a great listening post for the conservative people of the Treasure Valley. Keep up the good work, no matter what happens, and someday, maybe you and I can sit down and do a little Eyes on China.
Yes,
I think the people in this area are fascinated by China.
I think we need to do that. And what else was I going to say to you? I've got a couple ideas for you, actually.
Okay. You got my phone number?
Probably email is the best way to reach me.
No, I don't know if you read them because you never answer. Shame. Bye on you. Tell you what, when I get off the phone here, why don't you put me through to your producer there?
Uh-huh.
I'll give him my phone number, and I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. I'm going to expect to hear from you this week.
Oof. Why don't you just email me? And I promise I'll get back with you.
All right. I'll email, and if I don't get a good one, I'll come down to the station and I'll haunt you. I won't stalk you. I'll haunt you.
There's something to look forward to. Thank you, Max.
All right, buddy. I'll send you an email now.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The hits just keep on coming. Good morning, sir. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
I don't know if Max, a Million, and Cyndi Lauper, not Cindy, are married, but they should get together. They'd make a good team. And what's with Cindy wanting us all to have the First Amendment, but God forbid Idaho Press or the Statesman or any other newspaper has the freedom to print what they want?
Maybe we should have a crossfire between you and Max.
I'll max him right up the stairs into heaven, I'll tell you.
It's been a while since you've taken on anybody. I mean, the last person you beat, you pretty much drove him into exile, was Pat from Middleton, the Playboy.
Yeah, Pat's a mommy
Remember when we had, Tom Munns actually brought in the Black's Law Dictionary, Pat from Middleton, Russ Smurs. Trying to think who else took you on, and you, to your credit, you beat all of them.
Well, Miller,
we might have to bring you back out of retirement. Remember, the comedian, you beat him in a laugh off as well. You're a fairly shrewd competitor that a lot of folks probably don't know about. They go, I want to take on Liberal Steve. I'm like, he's undefeated on this program.
What I wanted to bring up was Hemp. Crapo, in 2015 or 2015 and 2005, voted on the Farm Bill, voted against hemp. And when I talked to him on your show, you've got it on tape.
Yes.
He claimed the people of Idaho don't want hemp.
We don't want hemp.
Now Mitch McConnell and the U.S. Senate is going to be passing. It's okay to grow hemp in the United States of America. Fine. Isn't that going to be great? And I've been waiting for this day. And then, of course, when the Tea Party died, Tea Party Bob had to jump on board with the cannabis and hemp and read up on it and act like he knows everything from day one, when for 10 years he called in and said, that's Steve, he's high on hemp, not even knowing the difference, So I'm excited to see which way Crapo...
Something about the hemp went to your brain.
I want to see how Crapo votes on this farm bill, but we will be getting hemp. Mitch McConnell, he guaranteed it. So it'd be nice to grow hemp out here on the ranch and haul it over to the new processing plant they're building in Oregon. And that's about all I got to say this morning, Miller. I really don't care about this Timmy guy you're talking about. He's insane. That's pretty obvious, and he has to live. That's just the way God made him. I mean, God makes a lot of people that way for some reason because the prisons are full. Is it God or is it the devil?
I don't know. I just kind of fell asleep while you were talking.
I know you do that pretty easy. You should have had your mask with you, so you didn't.
I did the mask last night. However, and by the way, Liberal Steve's right. If you have any problem sleeping, go get checked for sleep apnea. It saved my life. However, but you just, it's not even the tune out. It's just kind of boring.
Well, come on, Miller.
Pretty weak effort today.
You're just being mean to me.
No, I'm being honest. I'm giving you an air check here today. You're fairly boring today. I was really hoping that you'd come with something.
Oh, well, there you go, hoping again. Now you're going back to the Obama.
Going back to Obama. Yeah.
Hope. You stay fired up, Miller. I just wanted to bring up the hemp. And Crapo, too bad, so sad. I'm finally getting it.
You'll get it.
Yeah, I'll get it. Stay fired up. Hey, and leave Paulette alone, would you?
She's going nowhere.
Yeah, but you already slammed her. You do that.
Not really slammed her. I mean, here's the deal. Let's be honest. This campaign, the election is over. I'm trying to think. Being a Democrat in Idaho is the equivalent of being a fan of the Cleveland Browns.
I don't even.
They haven't won a football game in 2 years.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. If you're a Democrat in Idaho, who cares?
That's what I mean. You're
Nobody cares. You're angry because you're never going to get into a constitutional office. Your one shot was Walter Minnick, and he got run, and it's over.
I'll bet you a steak dinner at Texas Roadhouse that Paulette Jordan will be the next governor of Idaho.
Let's do it at Indian Creek in Caldwell.
You got a deal.
All right, there you go.
The best one on the menu.
I want the rancher, by the way. That's not cheap.
That's what I want because I'm going to win.
Fair enough. Thank you, Liberal Steve.
stay fired up and get her on the air with you, would you? Get an interview with her.
I think she's afraid of me.
Did you reach out to her?
Yes, several times. Paulette Jordan is afraid of me. And I got to tell you another one, very disappointed in A.J. Belukoff. We reached out to his people, and his people protected him from us, and he lost.
I know.
I like A.J., and it's unfortunate that his people, that he hired incompetent people to run his campaign.
Yeah, because he's a very smart guy.
He is. A very nice man.
Anyway, Paulette's going to win. You'll owe me a steak dinner.
Whew. Hank in Boise with Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Hank.
Yep.
Hank?
Yes, he put the knife in the canal, so he very much knew what he was doing. I think it's a case where he could not cope on the outside, and I think that there was a certain amount of calculation that if he did something that was horrendous enough, he could get a full-time meal ticket down at the pen. I mean, I'm saying he's psychotic or antisocial to a degree, but I don't think he's insane. And then that whole stage thing he did at the hearing, I think this was his ticket to lifetime trip where he gets 3 square meals a day.
You're telling me that Timmy contrived this, especially considering the severity of the crime?
I can't say for certain, but I wouldn't surprise me if there was some calculation to this to a degree. There's been no death penalty, by the way, in the Ninth Circuit, except for Mr. John Wells, who refused appeals and wanted to be killed because he did not want to spend his life in prison. There has not been an execution in Idaho since 1957, and that's partly because of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. You could make a death sentence for this man, but the Ninth Circuit's going to stop. That's just the reality. As long as Mr. Kennedy elects to have appeals, which he will, I think that'll be the case. And getting real briefly before I get off the phone, the Democrat Party, you will never, unless there's a radical change in the rest of the state, which I don't think is coming, as long as they're for abortion on demand, and as long as they follow the LGBT agenda, it's impossible for them to win in the state. You can't win in the state in eastern Idaho when you have only 27% of the vote statewide that they're getting. They're only getting a quarter of the vote. That's too large an area of the state for them to win statewide and lose by that degree in a large section of the state. And the other thing, too, is on the resource thing, one of the things that Tom Boise was upset, he's the last real effective Democrat boss of Idaho Democrats. And I read a letter of his to the Jefferson County back in the 60s at the Idaho Historical Society. He was concerned about Frank Church and Andrus because, in a sense, he felt that the destruction of the resource industry, which their policies would advocate, would basically put the Democrat union people and the timber and mining industries out of work. And he turned out to be quite right. This is another factor in the Democrat decline, is the decline in the resource industries, because that was part of the big base of the historic Democrat Party in Idaho. So I'll leave you at that.
Hank, thank you. Coming up next, hopefully we'll get to Tom Munns before the top of the hour, but we're wide open today, and we'd love to hear from you. Happy July 5th, everyone. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.